Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is my second update. I know I was going to do one at hour 3 or so, but it was getting too close to when I needed to go to work. So I gave up trying to squeeze one in and focused on my book instead. So I've finished one book so far for Dewey's Readathon, and I also did 4 hours at work today, so that's in there. Very bookish. I was at the used bookstore where I volunteer, and I did come home with 2 bags of books. So a very bookish activity, just not reading them. So I will do a book haul because my chair where I stack all the books that I bring home is getting full. So there will be a book haul probably maybe Monday. And I'll show off all the books that I've brought home. Some of them are kind of temporarily mine and will go back to my section at the bookstore. Some of them came in warped, like the way they were sitting in the box bent them. So I have them in stacks of books to see if I can get them to flatten out. So those ones I'll read them and then bring them back. It's my reading tax for fixing them. So some of them are not going to be mine for very long, but they might sit in my collection for a little while just to give them some time to relax out of their bends. So there's some of that, and there's some that I brought home so that I can read them and write recommendations for them so that they might sell easier, especially ones that we get copies of frequently that don't sell very well. So, one of the books I'm reading today, like right now, well, until I started making this video, is one from a series that when I started working at the bookstore wasn't selling very well. And when I started out helping out in the history section, they just piled up. We just kept getting more and more, and people kept donating more, and nobody bought them. So I started reading them and talking about them to people, being very honest about what they are and what they're not. And now I did an assessment of what I had in that series today, and I only had one extra copy, and that was of the most recent book in the series, which is really unusual. Usually I have them coming out of my ears. I can't give them away, literally. That was an interesting surprise. So what I'm currently about 50% in is Killing Crazy Horse by Bill O'Reilly, which is a dark topic. It's the Indian wars that were going on before, during, and after the Civil War. So the more information comes together in stories like this, the more it reads like any other territorial series of wars in any other place on the planet. When I was raised, and going through school, the Indian Wars were almost an afterthought in history books. Partly there just weren't a lot of coherent stories that made them anything else. It would be, there was a skirmish here, and there was a skirmish there, and there were these atrocities by one side and these atrocities by the other side. But it wasn't a coherent war story. It was just individual events. And that was kind of how it sat in my brain for a long time. But there's been some good books lately that have brought those bits together in more of a coherent story that shows what was going on and how it connects to everything else. So I like that because obviously everything is kind of connected. So all those little bits of stories that were in the textbooks when I was growing up were just parts of the story, and it felt like that. So this is one book that helps with that. The Killing series, and what I've been telling people, and probably why they're buying them and reading them, they are still well-researched histories. They're well-documented. All the references are in the book. And they are very clear about where they're getting their information. But they are telling a story using that information. So it reads almost like a novel because they're following one narrative thread through the history. So it gives you something to focus on. It's not just names and dates kind of thrown at you haphazardly. You're not like doing the entire Civil War in one book. There's a lot of stuff going on in the Civil War. So for the Civil War books, like this technically would be the Civil War era, but there are a couple others that also fall in that era. You're following a specific story. And for World War I, World War II, same difference. Killing Patton is following all the events that lead up to the death of General Patton. And so you're not really just getting the entire war, you're getting that story. So I like that. Killing Lincoln was really good because it was more like a heist novel almost, like following these conspirators as they're getting their diabolical deed organized. And because of that focus, you also see not just the planning for Lincoln's assassination, but the other assassinations that happened on that same day. Because it wasn't just one, it was multiple. Not all of them failed. So it was an interesting event that, that series covers a different perspective where you see it very differently. Anyway, so I had not done Killing Crazy Horse yet, so that's currently what I'm doing. I have the library audiobook because while I have it in print, I also wanted to have some nonfiction that I could listen as audiobooks so that I could do admin stuff because I'm still one of the admin team for Dewey's. And then I also want to be able to do things like have lunch, which is what I've been doing. I had, for my friends that expect these things, I had 2 fried eggs on a bowl of beans and cheese with some salsa. So that was my lunch. I still have a little bit of leftovers that I'll have in a bit because it ended up being a lot more food than I thought it was going to be. So that was good. So just really basic, and I'll probably have some pumpkin cake for dessert because I have some store-bought pumpkin cake that somebody gave me. So, yeah. I also am in the middle of a couple other books that I'll show off before I wrap up this update. When I was waiting for my ride to go to work, I was reading this, On Tyranny by Timothy Snyder. This is the one that I couldn't quite remember the name of the author. And I should remember it because I had a choir director with basically the same name. And yeah, one of my friends was reading this one and really liked it. I've read bits of it because I got it off the free cart. It wasn't deemed a substantial enough book to try again to sell it. We've tried it before and people just don't buy it. I might try it again on my dollar cart though, because it is really good after I read it. And next time we get one that's been underlined in, I might keep a copy, but this one's still in good condition. It's just, it wasn't selling. So, yeah. So I am possibly going to use some of it to pull quotes for social media. I like doing that, just sharing some of the gems that show up in these books. So, I did one already. I think I did the first sentences of the next book I'm going to show. So the other book that I've got currently going for Dewey's is Liberty's First Crisis. It's by Charles Slack. The subtitle is Adams, Jefferson, and the Misfits Who Saved Free Speech. The first lines that I shared as a quote are, "The greatest enemy of liberty is fear. When people feel comfortable and well protected, they are naturally expansive and tolerant of one another's opinions and rights. When they feel threatened, their tolerance shrinks." So nothing super profound, but just well-stated observation on human behavior that we definitely have been seeing play out in U.S. politics and society for quite a few years. It's been no surprise that fear has been the driving emotion for a lot of the political campaigns. That they're geared towards making their followers afraid of somebody because, and this is pulling from modern psychology research, when you're afraid, your ability to think rationally decreases and you become more easily manipulated. Strong emotions, fear and anger especially, make you more gullible, more manipulatable. So it's no surprise that campaigns like that can lead people around by the nose, because that's what they're made to do. So it was a good starting quote for the book. I haven't gotten too far in this book because then I had to go to work and I've been doing an audiobook. So I will get back to it probably in the next hour, because we just turned into 6 p.m. here, which is the next hour of our readathon. So I'm going to probably switch books and do a print book for an hour just so I can feel like I've done that for a bit. I was going to do print every other hour. Has not happened. But I probably have about an hour and a half to 2 hours in my audiobook. So that will be probably finished when I update next. So hopefully in the next 4 hours, we'll see. I am still on track to doing the 24 hours, so expect a few more updates. But I'm going to sign off so I can get to my book. I'm tuned in to another live sprints, this one hosted by Neva, reading with Neva, yes. So I am hanging out on her sprints just for company, and I was on Margaret's sprints, the word nerd. Margaret is the host of the Fablin Readathon, which I'm participating in. And Neva and Jess from the Hex Library, who I was following her sprints earlier this morning, they're all involved in that readathon. So, yeah. If you have not tried live sprints yet and are watching my updates, they are an addiction, and they make it easier to finish more books and to talk about what you're reading with other people that want to hear about what you're reading. So that's always fun, especially if you're like me and a lot of your real life friends don't read. So, yeah. But I'm going to sign off so I can get to my book, possibly Liberty's First Crisis, because I really do want to know what was going on, something about the Federalists and what they were doing, and that was impinging on free speech rights. That's all I've gotten so far. So I will let you know in the next update what it's about, and hopefully we'll also have finished Killing Crazy Horse, which sounds so bad when you put it like that. But I will see you in the next video. Bye.